Welcome in to the Eric Zane Show podcast, a daily show where I discuss news, nonsense, and my personal adventures from right here in the Impact Power Sports studio. The doomsday clock has moved closer to midnight. I do recall in my brain hearing about the doomsday clock. And from what I'm understanding, the doomsday clock, every year they decide whether it goes closer to midnight or further away from midnight. Chris says 2 minutes to midnight, which is, I believe, a Judas Priest song. Is it 2 minutes or 3 minutes? You probably know better than I do. If the thing gets to 2 minutes, or I should say if it gets right to midnight, we die. Chris says it's not Judas Priest, it's Iron Maiden. Yeah, my bad. I think I've played that on the Insane Asylum. We regularly play Iron Maiden on the Insane Asylum, even though I think they kind of suck. I understand everybody loves them. They're one of the most popular bands that's ever existed. But my God, they kind of stink, man. Megan says, look at those sweet puppies. I want to make sure you get a good view of them. Darla is sleeping peacefully on Bruce. So when that clock gets to zero, like, everybody dies. I think. I don't know. So that's I do understand that it's just metaphorical. I mean, you actually have to say that because some people are thinking that, I mean, it's called the doomsday clock, for fuck's sake. And if it hits midnight, then we're all dead. But it's all metaphorical. I was reading up on the doomsday clock, and it was started by Albert Einstein and Robert Oppenheimer? Is that the guy that they helped make the atomic bomb, or did make the atomic bomb? In 1947, they decided to talk about, hey, the doomsday clock. Hang on a second. I'm distracted here. I can't fucking do this show with this fucking idiot here. Trying to fucking formulate thoughts, and this asshole's being a fucking retard. Get the fuck out of here. All right. Anyway. Doomsday clock. And, you know, this is the people who made the atomic bomb. They're like, all right, if we don't stop doing this shit, we're going to die. And the first time that they looked at the clock, they said 7 minutes to. Like in 1947, Oppenheimer and Einstein said, it is 7 minutes to midnight right now. And every year, it either gets closer to midnight or it gets further away from midnight. And I think the farthest away it ever was like 19 minutes before. And that was back in 1991. According to what I'm reading right now, the main factors influencing the clock are nuclear warfare, climate change, and artificial intelligence. Yeah, maybe affecting it now. I think back then they were just concerned about nuclear calamity. I still don't buy the idea that at some point artificial intelligence is going to take us over and can think on its own. Because you still have to input data in order to get the AI to do what it wants, you know? So I've never really bought any of that nonsense. That I think people have watched one too many, what do you call those movies with Schwarzenegger? The Running Man or Total Recall, whatever the fuck it was. The Intimidator or some shit like that, where he's a robot. You know what I'm talking about? He comes back from the future, and then there's some kid, and he wants to kill the kid, and then the next movie he wants to save the kid, and the next movie he wants to marry the kid's mom. Terminator, that's it. It has been set backwards 8 times and forward 18 times. The closest it's been to midnight is right now. It is 89 seconds till midnight. Patrick says the film Oppenheimer was the worst movie I've ever seen. Yeah, there's a okay, first of all, I'm a fan of Christopher Nolan movies, even though I rarely know what the fuck's going on. I don't know why I like them. I like that guy Cillian Murphy, and I like dialogue movies. And besides, there was some great roles in that movie. Who was the guy? Matt Damon, he was in that. I actually liked it, but I can see why a lot of people would hate that fucking movie. And I'm kind of a history guy, too. So yesterday, this is the clip of some big brain guy talking about moving the clock forward to the closest it's ever been in history. We are 89 seconds away from doom. Let's hear what this genius has to say about it.
It is the determination of the Science and Security Board of the...
Okay, what the fuck? Why would you have the guy who's got a voice like Gollum making the announcement? I'm waiting for this guy to talk about his precious ring and how he wants to kill Frodo and Bilbo.
It is the determination of the Science and Security Board of the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists.
He makes Pat Mahomes sound like he's got a good voice.
That the world has not made sufficient progress on existential risks threatening all of humanity.
He reminds me of Gollum and Jar Jar Binks, too, like all in one. Look at this mop-top douche.
We thus move the clock forward. In setting the clock closer to midnight, we send a stark signal. Because the world is already perilously close to the precipice, any move towards midnight should be taken as an indication of extreme danger and an unmistakable warning. Every second of delay in reversing course increases the probability of global disaster. It is now 89 seconds to midnight.
Okay, so they got the whole this whole thing worked out here with this whole group of people.
Is the closest the world has ever been to midnight.
So I'm guessing they might take into consideration like various conflicts going on in the world with whatever actors. Tyler says this nerd sounds like he's got a dick down his throat. Chris says, great, let's freak out the people who are freaked out even more. Okay, so you've got maybe, okay, here we go. This is what's going on. This is why the clock moved forward. You've got the ability to press a button and AI creates like an image or a video of something that didn't really happen. AI is running radio stations. That's what they're basing it on. How stupid is that? AI is critical to fighting disease. Most people don't know the practical things that AI is being used for right now. Most morons just think that it's going to kill us. And that's because you're stupid people. All right? You are stupid. All right? And then you have a weird scenario where Trump, this might move the clock closer to midnight because he doesn't give a fuck about anything. So now he takes us out of the climate thing, the Paris climate deal, and then, you know, he's drilling and he's wiping out all the electric cars, making so that everybody has a V8 motor. Trump has announced that fuel injection and fuel economy is no longer allowed. Every vehicle made going forward must be made by the Carroll Shelby Company. So you'll see like the tiniest car, and it's putting out like 700 horses stock. You know, it comes off the line and it can turn, you know, a quarter mile in like 1 second. So, and it is now a law from Trump that those cars can't get any better than 3 miles per gallon. And if you get better fuel economy than that, you're wiped out. These must be tri-powered, 3 2-barrel carburetors on every one of these motors, minimum. You can go as high as 10 carburetors on each one of these. All vehicles must be built with extra-large 500-gallon gas tanks. And there's special tax incentives for these companies to strip the land of more and more of its landscape to allow for oil to be brought to be refined. That is all. He signed an executive order. He signed the thing and then he held it up, and it was a Carroll Shelby Mustang. So that's moving us closer to the doomsday clock, according to these idiots. But at the same time, Trump is moving the clock back because he's ended the Ukrainian war and he's ended the Middle East, Hamas, Israel war. I don't know if the Ukrainian war is officially over, but it's going to be. Because Trump is going to send troops to be part of the Russian military to slaughter more Ukrainians. So the U.S. is going to be the ally to Russia, and Ukraine is now a lost cause. That is now back to being part of Russia. Accept it and go on from there. But what that does is it eliminates the possibility that Putin is going to blow up Ukraine with a nuclear weapon. And now we are pals with Putin. So that's going to move the clock back about 15 minutes. Plus Israel and Hamas, there's peace there. That's going to move that back another 15 minutes. So because of the gasoline engines, that's going to put us back or up to like 10 after midnight. So we're dead. And then he pushes it back. So if these fucking dorks and that weirdo with the stupid voice, if they take that into account, everything's going to change. For next year at about this time, that's when they do the doomsday clock. Hang on, I got to drink this. Does anybody, what's the point of doomsday clock? Some of you threw it out that it's just fear-mongering. And that's what Tyler says. Fear-mongering, get out of here, dork. Tyler made the point, our planet is finite anyway. So let's just relax. That's true. You know, there will be one day when we have exhausted the resources of this planet. It's in about 1 billion years. If you look up something known as peak oil, there are some people that suggest that we don't have that much longer to get crude oil out of the ground. Like there's only so much left. But I don't think they took into account Trump, because Trump will dig a well anywhere. He's going to start in the most pristine of places and just basically rip it to shreds. That's why he wants to make Canada one of our states, so he can just basically waste it. I do not believe the idea of peak oil. I think somebody who is probably in the same think tank, quote unquote, as the jackasses from Doomsday Clock. This is all the fault. This is all the fault of Robert Oppenheimer and Albert Einstein. Okay? This is what they did. They created the bomb to blow up all of Japan, and they felt bad about that. So what they did was they made the doomsday clock and wagged a finger at everybody's face saying, we got to quit being so evil. It's like, you assholes, you're the ones that did this shit. You could very easily have taken your knowledge and sidestepped that. Now, granted, the Russians probably would have figured it out, and that would have been ugly. So, at the end of the day, you did your job. Quit being all fucking a pussy about this shit. If it was, you know how many lives you saved? Remember that scene in the movie Oppenheimer when Robert Oppenheimer, he wanders into the president's office, and I don't even know who was the president at the time when that bomb was dropped. Chris would know. It might have been, was it Eisenhower maybe? And Oppenheimer gets in front of the president, and he's like, oh, I feel bad. And the president goes, get the fuck out of here. What are you doing? Truman, that was the guy. Yeah, thank God for Truman. For rubbing that Nancy's nose and shit. That was your job. You had to do that. We ended the war. You know how many American lives we saved, asshole? Badger says the film Oppenheimer is a sleep fest. Yes, to most. I agree. But again, I liked it. Patrick, there's that noise again. Patrick with the terrible comment, they should have stayed the course and finished Japan. Japan still stands to this very day. That's a horrible way to look at the world, you idiot. Bob says if it wasn't for the big bomb, it would have been way worse for Japan. Look up bat bombs. All right. No, I'm not going to look up bat bombs. Yeah, you're right. I know that the plan was to just basically carpet bomb the entire place. We had them on the ropes and make it a fucking inferno of conventional bombs destroying that place. All right. So Doomsday Clock has been moved forward. Big fucking deal. What's going to happen if they keep moving it forward a little bit at a time, and then it's like 1 second before, and it's like, God, what are we going to do? Well, we can either move it past, and then everybody will think we're assholes, or we can, and full of shit. No one's going to believe us if we actually get past midnight. We're going to have to back it off. This thing is totally subjective. They're basically just looking at, you know what they do to determine this? They probably look at TikTok videos. Okay, Oh, all right, yeah, okay, this dance move is going on. This guy's dog talks. Come on. Chris says, heads up, easy. You'll be having a conversation with Madison about this tonight. She'll be losing it. Forgetting about that. She's my sensitive little girl. So Trump is hard at work, by the way. And I will say this, whether I know that some people love Trump and I know that some people hate Trump. But the one thing is 100% sure, we're stuck with it. There is not a goddamn thing any of you can do. And what he's done is the latest thing. And this is now 1 week, 2 days since he was sworn in. Say what you want, but he has been very, very busy doing a lot of the things that makes the morons that voted him in very, very happy. And I am not here to complain about it. All right? Because complaining does nothing. If Trump decides I want all of our migrants out, I got the popcorn front row. I'm going to watch that shit go down. If he's going to pull out of the climate accord, I want to see it. If he's going to build giant motors and wipe out the electric car, fuck yes. The latest thing that he's doing, and I was there front row when he pulled the security detail for Fauci and John Bolton. And that was incredible. Now he is freezing funding on like everything. So you've got all these, I guess, organizations and support for people who are maybe marginalized or whatever thing, government funded programs. And he said, no more. And so you got like the suicide prevention hotline, which is funded by like government dollars. And so there's a lady who's on the phone, and there's a guy that calls her and says, hey, I'm getting ready to kill myself. And he's like, now, hey, and she's like, okay, she's going to like try to talk him out of that. You know that whenever you see a news story about somebody killing themselves, it says, call this number if you have trouble. Well, that number is funded by the government. And now that funding is pulled. So that lady, there is an audio that exists right now of the lady on the suicide prevention line. And she's on the phone, and there's someone talking to her. And then she got a text message, and it says, we're out of business. And so the guy she was helping him from jumping off of, like, the Freedom Tower in New York. He was at the very tip top of it, talking to her. And then it said, funding has been pulled. We're all fired. She goes, hey, fuck you, jump. And she just hangs up on the guy, and then he killed himself. Trump did that. That is happening as we speak. A federal judge has temporarily blocked Trump's freeze on federal grants and loans. Yesterday, they were talking about the freeze on all of the funding, and now a judge has said, hold on a minute. And I think Trump expected that. He's also put this out to all the government workers, federal employees, like, hey, how would you like a buyout? How would you like to get out of the game? I might have a story about this. I can't really tell if this is what I'm looking for.
There's confusion on Capitol Hill over a federal funding freeze and what it means for programs and projects across the country.
Nobody knows. We are trying.
You might only be able to hear this in one of your headphones. Sorry.
Trying to find those answers right now.
We need to get to the facts versus the fear.
Starting Tuesday night, the Trump administration is pausing federal grants and loans across the board, saying it needs time to review if the spending lines up with its priorities.
This is a very responsible measure.
But lawmakers from communities hit by recent disasters are worried about what this means for recovery efforts.
It's a big slap in the face to a part of the state that got horribly hit.
Virginia Senators Mark Warner and Tim Kaine point out Vice President J.D. Vance visited their state just yesterday to promise federal help after Hurricane Helene.
want to be there for the photo op and say, we're here to help you. And then as soon as they leave, you find out, but the rest of the story is we're pausing funding.
White House Press Secretary.
All right, so maybe a little bit of confusion on the message. Vance shows up. We're going to help you. Tim Kaine says, where's the money? And Trump goes, fuck you.
Caroline Leavitt insists the freeze won't include federal money given directly to individuals.
Direct assistance that is in the hands of the American people will not be impacted.
But it could impact community rebuilding projects.
The organizations that are doing this cleanup, the organizations that are repairing the Creeper Trail, for example, this will largely be done by contract.
North Carolina Senator Tom Tillis says he hopes some disaster relief is exempt from the funding pause.
You talk about immediate disaster, immediate relief. I just can't imagine they're going to tap the brakes on that.
What's your message to North Carolinians who are worried,
individual assistance, that I'm going to continue to be as a strong supporter as I've been since Helene hit their mountains.
In Washington, I'm Hannah Brandt.
All right, so I think you basically should prepare to have your funding yanked. Linda doesn't like the presidential spokesperson and refers to her as a dumb bitch. I didn't catch anything dumb about her. She didn't say a whole lot. Megan says she called all of her representatives about this. I usually just stew. Look, guys, my advice to you is do nothing. Do not waste your time. If you're going to do anything, spend your time wrapping your brain around the idea that we are now 1 week into what is a 3-year, 51-week adventure. And if 1 week and 2 days in, you're already calling your representatives, you got to pace yourself. I don't know if it's just not going to do anything. This is not going to help you. No matter what we say or what we do, this is how it is. Trump is going to wipe this shit out. That's his plan. Megan says, I've got kids with special needs. Funding needs to stay in place. It's not only for them, but all the kids who are getting assistance at public schools. Oh, I'm with you. I'm with you. It's just, you know what they're going to do, though? This is what they're going to do. They're going to pick up the phone, so-and-so office, and you're going to be like, hello, this is Megan. I love videos of squirrels and raccoons, and here's what's going on. And she's going to go, please tell me more. And she's going to set it down. And then she's going to do something else. And then you're going to be done. She's going to go, you know what? You really made some great points. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. And then hang up. Linda says it could impact Diana's job, my wife. Absolutely. Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. But you see, folks, elections have consequences. And I don't think it's a good idea if after someone is elected in to waste your precious time and energy trying to get the gears of justice grinding back to a new level, moving faster with a phone call. It's not going to matter. Adam says, I used to take phone calls when I interned in the state legislature. Yeah, basically you'd be calling Adam. You're getting like some volunteer. Badger says some schools provide lunch to homeschool kids. Some of the silly shit needs to go. Well, I think that's what Trump is doing. I think what he's doing is he's going to wipe out all funding for everything. So that's all gone. And then he's slowly going to bring it back on board. So by the end of his presidency, the schools will probably get a few dollars. But you know how every year they say that the U.S. is in debt, trillions of dollars? Trump is going to eliminate everything so that we're actually in the black by like $50 trillion. I can't even talk. But now this judge, Lauren Alicon, weighed in just before the funding freeze was scheduled to go into effect. The stay lasts until Monday afternoon and applies only to existing programs. So if there was some that they were considering, those are now gone. Administration officials said the decision to halt loans and grants, a financial lifeline for local government, schools, and nonprofits, was necessary to ensure that spending complies with Trump's recent blitz of executive orders. So it's exactly what I was telling you. He held up that binder that he wrote, and it said, fuck schools. That's what it said. And then it said, fuck suicide prevention, fuck emotionally and special impaired children, fuck you. That's what he said and did. So people are kind of like scrambling right now. The judge who weighed in on this and issued that 7-day halt was a federal judge appointed by Joe Biden. The judge said it seems like the federal government currently doesn't actually know the full extent of the programs that are going to be subject to the pause. Jessica Morton, an attorney for the National Council of Nonprofits, which brought the lawsuit, said the group has tens of thousands of members around the country that could be affected. So you're talking about whole organizations of people employed by these grants. And if it goes the way Trump wants it to go, they're all going to be out. Trump administration officials said programs that provide direct assistance to Americans would not be affected, such as Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, student loans, and food stamps. They also defended the funding pause, saying Trump was following through on his promise to turn Washington upside down if elected to a second term. And that is, in fact, what he did, and that is what he's doing. He is pulling out, you have that drawer in your kitchen. It's the junk drawer. He's pulling it out, and he's just dumping it out. And then he's throwing out all that shit in there that's been in there for years that you don't need. Whether you like it or not, it's getting thrown away. Now, whether or not this is a good idea, I would assume that this is not a good idea. That this is, in fact, a horrible idea. If you're going to go that route and have, I would suggest maybe a little bit more of a gradual bit of scrutiny as opposed to just wiping all this shit out from the top. I mean, you're looking at tens, if not hundreds of thousands of employees being affected across the board, not to mention all of the recipients of these government programs. I mean, this is why we pay taxes. We pay this money so that these things can be put in place. Now, is there some fat? Oh, of course there is. Of course there's some fat. And they need to be scrutinized, but to just wipe shit out like that, I think that some people who are like, yeah, this is great, this is what we need, they don't think they're going to be affected, but I can promise you they will be in some way, shape, or form, either them or their kids or their grandkids or people related to them or people that work in organizations that are funded by these grants. A lot of this also stems from non-discriminatory efforts by the U.S. government. What used to be known as a good thing, the term woke and the term DEI, and those started out as good terms. Like if you were woke, you were cognizant of a person's needs, and you respected them, and you supported them, and you were a little bit more sensitive in the real world. Not here on this show, but in the real world. So, I mean, whatever. I mean, if that's the way it is, I can get behind that. And then diversity, equity, and inclusion. I mean, what the fuck is wrong with having a little bit of everybody to be contributing. What's the big deal? Now, there are some people that say, well, yeah, but then they're just hiring them because they're fat, or they're just hiring them because they're black. Well, who gives a fuck? They still got a brain, and we're all good people. So these things are all getting wiped out. That is part of Trump's plan. He wants all that shit gone because he hates wokeness, diversity, equity, and inclusion. The idea is that those types of mindsets are destroying the fabric of America. That's the philosophy. That's what they're sticking with. So that's the way it's going to be for now. I just checked my clock, my own personal doomsday clock. We have 3 more years and 51 weeks. Actually, under that now. 50 weeks and 5 days of that going forward. My God. Wolverine Bronco says he will not put us in the black. He increased our debt by $8 trillion in his first 4 years. Right now, Trump and the Republicans are trying to free up money to renew the tax cuts for the rich, which expires later this year. Well, it's possible, I guess. I would like to say that is usually the philosophy from people on this chat. Everybody seems to have a real handle on this. But everybody, including me, probably has no idea. So let's look big picture. If it's going to be a catastrophe, enjoy watching it destroyed. It's like a train wreck. You can't help but look. So begin to formulate your brain into thinking that this is actually just entertainment and we can watch it all unfold. And if you didn't support Trump, you can say, see, this is what you get. But that being said, let's just say it turns out great. And let's be honest, we all want to be happy, wealthy, wise. We have to say, all right, you were right. Now, I don't think it's going to happen. But that is the world that we live in. So I'm just encouraging you to accept it and bite the pillow. Jeremy says 90% of Trump supporters are about to have their food stamps taken away from them. They think they won't, but they will. Then they'll complain about the Democrats. Yeah, but I thought I just read that programs like that would not be affected. You know, things like Medicare, Medicaid. Maybe it will. I don't know. Who knows? Honestly, let's just say they wipe out food stamps. It doesn't exist anymore. All right, great. Well, I guess that means there's going to be a lot of people entering the workforce. I mean, honestly, we're wiping out a large percentage of the workforce right now with all of the immigrants being deported. So somebody's got to do those fucking jobs. So if the losers who would be on food stamps could just get off their fucking fat asses and do a job, then we wouldn't have to worry about having immigrants come here and pick our fucking food or make our food. All right. There are a lot of people who actually get their news from the Eric Zane Show podcast. That's why I'm here, to have these amazingly fantastic conversations with you. I am the only person that is capable of taking fucked up government bullshit and making it an entertaining podcast. No one alive can do what I do. Patrick says, I think Trump is doing great. Bob says, aren't food stamps state funded? I don't fucking know. Who knows? Maybe. Nick in the arena says fudge rounds are going to go out of business. Okay. This show originates in the Impact Power Sports studio. Go to ImpactPowerSportsMI.com. Speaking of Nick, that's where he goes for all of his power sports equipment that he purchases. He was just telling me he got a brand new side-by-side, and he's so happy with it. He's just been ripping up the trails in the wintertime. That's what you do. You can also get a golf cart there. You can get an Easy Go golf cart or a Yamaha golf cart. They have all those things at Impact Power Sports. While I'm at it, get a haircut at King's Room Barbershop. This was proof that I need one. My hair is ridiculous. And I've got to make a public appearance this weekend at Ford Field. Not this weekend, Thursday night at Ford Field. And this is what I have to work with. Chris says, keep growing it out. It's never been this long. And if you look at it up close, it doesn't look like it right now because I had the hat on. It's actually curly. It's so long on top, it actually flies out of the frame on here. Nick said it looks like Beaker, the Muppet. So anyway, if I can get the time, I will head over to King's Room Barbershop, 3 locations, Northland Drive, Caledonia, and at 821 36th Street. Go to kingsroom.net for exact locations and schedules. Tax season is upon us. Call upon Tag Accounting. Troy Ginzer, deadly from beyond the arc. Boom! Troy is the guy that got the Burn King to lose his shit during the basketball game. He sank like 7 threes in a row and kept like going boom after each one. And Craig got so pissed, he screamed at him and punted the basketball. Hilarious. Anyway, so no matter what state you're in, reach out to Tag Accounting. If you go to tagcpa.net, all their contact information is right at the top. So if you want to get your taxes done, you've been putting it off. Here you are. You got the end of January. So you still got time. You got all of February. You got all of March. And about half of April. You can reach out at the number on the screen, 616-301-9516. Christina's going to pick it up. Hey, I'm living in Missouri. EZ told me to reach out about getting my taxes done, and they'll take care of you. Thank you, Tag Accounting. Thank you to the audience as well on Facebook and on YouTube, but I'm going to kick you out now. If you want the rest of the show, it's on Twitch, twitch.tv/Eric Zane Live. Like a wormhole there. Twitch.tv/Eric Zane Live. As well, if you go there, you can also download the app and just search at Eric Zane Live, and you'll be on your way. There you go. On Patreon today, we've got a very rare thing. It is a Big Fraud Wednesday, but we're starting at 3:30 in the afternoon with Who Are These Free Beers? And then after that, we're doing the Ben and Eric Patreon podcast. Normally, all of that would take 2.5 hours. We're going to go about an hour on Free Beer. We're going to go about an hour on the Ben and Eric Patreon podcast. And then I've got a hockey game. I'm just excited that Ben was able to take the time to be able to do it so early because he's off to Florida, I think. Jet setting on his way there after that. So, but we're still getting the show in. And I want to share with you something to look forward to on that show. On the latest edition of Who Are These Free Beers, I might have a new all-time most fucked up noise that our beloved Kelly Cheese has made. It seems like I say that every time. Like every time The most fucked up noise is the latest noise she makes. Okay. In this clip right here, they're playing that game, that stale game that they've played for 30 years called Paired with an Idiot. Or as Greg would say, paired with an idiot. In this clip, Hot Wings is going over the rules for the Paired with an Idiot game. As I understand it, when you play, like if I'm trying to describe something to you, a $10,000 pyramid style, and you're struggling, I cannot say, hey, pass. The other person has to pass. And Kelly has been notorious for just telling the person to pass. You can't do that, guys. So Hot Wings is making sure that Kelly is on the straight and narrow and giving the rules, and then this moment takes place. Hey, this is easy. Always a busy. That's not it. What an asshole. God, I'm such an idiot. Give me a second. That was an entirely different clip. That's embarrassing. All right. Let me see. Which one was it again? Cringe of the week. Clip number 20. Okay, here it is.
All right. Now, don't forget, Michelle, only you can pass if it seems like Kelly's getting hung up on one. If Kelly says, don't forget you can pass, you're not getting that point ever.
Violation.
Okay. Yeah, that's a violation. We're not putting up with that from you anymore, Kelly.
Okay. Guys, sometimes you just got to send out a gentle reminder. That's all it is. Send out a gentle reminder. That's all it is.
I think she was saying that's all it is. But this dose of retard affected the words. And this is...
That's all it is.
That's how it came out.
All right.
That's all it is.
This is the latest supercut. I have updated the Kelly Cheese fucked up noise supercut.
Cream cheese, okay? 500, a little small. So good.
In your booth, to your right, a white box.
That's all it is.
Come on, man. What? You want it one more time?
Cream cheese, okay? 500, a little small. So good.
In your booth, to your right, a white box.
That's all it is.
Look, she can sit there and suggest that it's pointless to make fun of her making weird noises. But you cannot be happy with any of this. Any of what you do, miss. What are you, how? I don't think she can help it. And if she thinks that that is not a big deal, that this is not a sizable moment, that is like a normal, natural thing, people don't make noises like that, miss. They don't. Oh, awful.
Cream cheese, okay? 500, a little small. So good.
In your booth, to your right, a white box.
That's all it is.
If years ago when they brought her on, I'm guessing she checked all the boxes. She has a fun personality. She's outgoing. She's not afraid to speak up. She's funny. I'm sure off of the air, what she lacks in the ability to make imaging, she's good at the other production duties. Great on the air. I've said that multiple times. Despite all of that, if I am Greg and I hired her and I heard those noises, at some point I would say, all right, here's your options. Either you're fired, we're going to have a surgery to rip out your throat, or we're going to take away your microphone. You can choose. Those are your options. That's where I would be if I had a person that I hired who sounded like that. And I can just imagine the very first time that she would, or whatever the fuck she does. And everybody just like, I mean, how do they not react? You ever notice how she makes those noises and no one reacts? And I don't want to hear anything that it's just me. No one has ever heard these moments and said, yeah, that's no big deal. They've been hideously affected. They actually want to throw up. That's how bad this is.
Cream cheese, okay? 500, a little small. So good.
In your booth, to your right, a white box.
That's all it is.
My God. Go Blue Jason is here. He writes, good morning, Zaner. That's what my friends on the hockey team refer to me. The refs call me Zaner. Listening to Free Beer and Hot Wings this morning. Good for you. Hey, don't ever forget this. Since my show starts at 10, you all need to listen to that show, because when what you hear, you can pass along to me for who are these free beers. And that's what Go Blue Jason is doing right here. He says, good morning, Zaner. Listening to Free Beer and Hot Wings this morning, and I'm pretty sure that Free Beer threw some low-key shade your way at around 9:27 a.m. Shots fired. Well, that's to be, I shouldn't say that's to be expected, because I don't know if that suits them. If they are doing that, that does nothing but help me. And the last thing you want to do is that punching down is never an option. Punching up is one thing, and that's what I'm doing. I mean, let's be honest here. I'm on a fucking podcast, and they're on a radio show heard all across the country, for God's sake. And when you punch down like that, he's probably getting frustrated, if that's even the case. And I don't know. I haven't listened to it. But if he does say something that we can all agree that he is, in fact, punching down, you're only doing that to satisfy, that itch that you have to scratch of, oh my God, he's fucking with me. I wanna put him on blast. And you morons know full well, not the audience morons on that show, two different sets of morons. You know full well there is nothing you can say or do, no matter what it is. I don't care what you say, that can affect me in any way. Nothing. So it's a futile endeavor for you to ever say anything bad about me, because all that's going to do is validate what I'm already doing and will continue to do. And it makes me sit up a little bit taller in my chair, frankly, in a weird way. And I think you idiots know that. But if you are so stupid to give into those emotional moments where you're hurt because I'm simply pointing out the truth, well, I will gladly accept that. And I 100% appreciate that. So thank you. Patrick says, I remember her first day. The text and emails destroyed her. I remember her voice being described as an ashtray. Well, kudos to them for playing that.
Cream cheese, okay? 500, a little small. So good.
In your booth, to your right, a white box.
That's all it is.
All I have deliberately kept the audience on Facebook and YouTube on, but I'm now going to let you go. Thank you.